This podcast might be the biggest thing out in a couple of days, a couple of months. You never know.
Right.
You know what I mean? You just never know. And where did it didn't come from being in some big studio. It come from you three guys that grew up together, having an idea, putting it together, and giving people opportunity to let other people know. You know, like, we've known each other for how long now, bro? Like, what?
Yeah, 5 or 6 years. I was just doing the math on that. Yeah.
Yeah, man. So, you know, I don't really deal with a lot of, I stick and move. You know what I mean? Like, yo, what's up? Good on, boom, boom, boom. But we've done a film together, and we've kept in good in contact with each other, which is great. You know what I mean? So
absolutely, no. And going back to that, dude, no, it's not. You know, I said this before. Like, if there's anyone who's got all the energy in the world that never stops, it's you. And like,
hold on, I'm 50 years old, man. Come on, I'm an old man now.
Yeah, yeah. But when your little Zoom picture over here, you get that Idris Elba look going.
Well, you know, I can't really.
Well, Joe, I don't mean to
up?
cut you off, but your IMDb is lying. You said you were born in 1978.
Well, you know what happened? That's what actors do. And I did that like, oh my goodness. I had an agent at the time. He was like, yo, you know, you look super young. But now I'm like, I try to change it, but it is what it is. I still look that age though, man.
Well, I just want to make sure you weren't trying to get the next episode of the Partridge Family or something. That's why you were trying to go with the.
that would be a good paycheck.
You know, going back to it, Bud.
Yeah.
Like I said, I mean, you got crazy energy. You got a lot of different things going, and we're gonna jump into a lot of this stuff. But you know, I was kind of giving the listeners a little bit heads up of who you are. But I mean, film producer, actor. You have your own podcast too, Suba Talks, which we'll jump into. You also have the clothing line called Energy, which totally suits you and your personality.
Yes, sir.
And then one of the other big things that you have coming out, which is huge, is your new film called Shadows with Saigon.
Yeah, that's my guy, Saigon. Brian Clyde directed it. My buddy Charlie was executive producer. I was the producer. Yeah, that was a good. It's coming. You know, right now it's in post. So the last 2 bits of it is we're doing the coloring is now and the sound and and scores. It's a horror film, because horror films are easy to make, believe it or not. You know, they're easy, low budget, and we're lucky we got Saigon. Saigon and I did my first film together, which Brian Clyde directed, was called Rage and Discipline. And Roger Corman, I don't know if you guys know Roger Corman. He was executive producer.
Okay. So he was in that was like one of your first ones going back to the early 2000s, right? Rage and Discipline?
That was my first, that was my first one, and that's how I met Saigon. Saigon wasn't even, he was just, doing it. I had his first, what I regret? I had his first mixtape.
Jesus.
On the beat, and I wish I would have had that, because he's kind of like doing his thing. You know what I mean? He's becoming, he reinvented himself. So now he's really rocking right now.
So, and he was in that. How much of that film he was in? That was the one that you were like super gangster, right? You had your little Tupac vibe going on.
Yep. And you know what's so crazy? They showed that on BET for 2 years, right? So this how old that is. Remember when 50 Cent's Get Rich or Dying came out? So they had an interview with 50 Cent on BET, and they showed that film right after. They knew what they were doing with the marketing. Right after 50 Cent got off, they showed that film. That film kind of like changed my life, man. I went on to do 16, 17 more films just off of that film.
Holy shit.
Just off of that one film, yo.
Let's take it back for you. Let's take it back to the beginning. So you grew up in Harlem, right?
I grew up in Harlem, 1971. I grew up in the 70s, 80s, and 90s crack era, dope and crack era.
Seeing that where Harlem is now to where it is before. I mean,
man,
you've seen
Harlem is crazy. Yeah, Harlem is. I can't afford, but I'm not saying I can't, but it's very pricey to live in Harlem because of how everything is situated, and But when I was growing up, man, it was a pureness of Harlem, even though it was kind of here and there. But it was like very like authentic, and some of it is gone now. But everything changes in life. There's nothing that stays the same.
Yeah, I'm sure there's a ton of memories that you have from just each, essentially, from the 70s to the 80s to 90s, and seeing that the trends and
man,
I mean,
listen,
the Apollo Theater there too. I mean, when I first saw that, I was like, to me, that was my like.
When the first time you saw Apollo, bro?
It was, I think it was actually one of the times I went out there to do probably when we connected for Blue Underground for one of the rehearsals.
Wow, man. Now, listen, when I was growing up in Harlem, every Friday and Saturday, that the streets used to stop on 105th Street. There's so many cars, so many people at night, and everybody was just hanging. I seen some old video on YouTube I was like, wow, I was probably out there that day, but just didn't remember. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Right, right.
Yeah, Harlem it's still a good vibe there. It's just changed.
Yeah, I mean, seeing that trend is that's crazy.
Yeah, it's it's still a good vibe. It's just changed somewhat. So, but
you have 2 kids, right?
2 sons. My 2 sons are 20. Think about 27 and 22. Man, I got 2 grown boys that I raised, and they're good kids. They went off to college, and now they're just living their lives, and they do music, and now they have their own clothing line. So they kind of like stay. They kind of like, I see they're following what I'm doing somewhat. You know what I mean? So I guess I have a good, okay. They don't have no kids yet. Sometimes I wish I had some grandkids, but I think I could wait a little. I'm still young.
Joe, I failed miserably in introducing you to everyone. You kind of know my brother, but the other gentleman on the podcast is Brian. So he's one of our lifelong friends here. And
what's up, Brian?
Hey, Joe.
Let me see your face. I can't see his face. But okay, I'm on the 4 screen now. What's up, Brian? What's up, bud?
Hey. Joe, I'll tell you, so I don't know how much Brett shared with you about what this podcast is. And a big part of it is about, the journey. And Brett shared with us, what you got going on and where you've been, man. And it's such an incredible story, just kind of going through it. Bro. Obviously, I'm the dad here. I have 2 kids, so that was gonna be one of my first questions about your family. My kids are younger though; they're not yet. They're still babies compared to your boys. But I do.
How old are your kids?
My daughter just turned 14, and my son is 12. So they're.
Oh, you got a ways to go.
Yeah, I do. So how do you balance? I know you're still kind of talking about kind of your path. How do you balance everything, man? You have so much going on for yourself.
I don't, what it is? To be honest with you, I don't know. I just feel like, to be honest with you, I don't really know how all this started. It's just like I get an idea and I do it, and I just push through it, and I try to merge everything together. And I just been very blessed by God to be healthy and to be able to do some of the things I do. I have done in places I've been all around the world. I really can't really explain it. I just do it. I never think about how did I do it? How can I do it? That's a good question. I'm just very blessed, man.